Hey, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Jan Ragnerud here with chaosmap.com. We're on live today, once again, Facebook Live. And hey, you all coming in from the wonderful podcast media and marketing. I say wonderful because you're wonderful. You're listening and enjoying these broadcasts. I certainly appreciate it. Yesterday, I talked a little bit about this, so I'm not going to belabor it, but I appreciate you all. Appreciate you listening right now. And also for you that is watching here, I'm excited because what we have in front of us here, and by the way, I'll be providing this document in the show notes as a download, as a free download. But what we have in front of us is essentially the key building blocks for SEO success. And these are the 12 must-have SEO building blocks for high organic rankings in search engines. And of course, Google being the primary at that. And so I wanted to take you through this today because I think it's helpful to understand all the work and all the different sort of divisions of work that goes into ranking websites and to get search engines to love you more, right? That's ultimately the goal. And we're talking about white hat SEO here. And for you that know SEO, of course, you'll be very familiar with that term. It's the opposite of black hat, right? Black hat meaning shady tactics that may seem to work for the moment. That is technically out of compliance with Google terms of service. Although, of course, these are rules established by Google, and you're free to do whatever you want. But here's the key to that. If you are living on the edge of risk and you're comfortable with it, then you can go black hat, right? It's whatever floats your boat. We're talking about white hat today. And yes, there is sort of a gray zone in there. And there are some techniques that you can use to sort of elevate. But really, ultimately, we're talking about established businesses here, folks, ladies and gentlemen like yourselves who are building for the long term, not just a quick in and out type of deal. Right. So what I'm going to do here is take you through these 12 building blocks. And once again, you'll get this download. And if you'd like more information on this and get started with any of these areas, because again, you may have different, you basically in the timeline of events, you may be further along than others. But if you choose to, then you can go out to chaosmap.com, chaosmap.com. We map the chaos for you. We like to build out these streamlined workflows and processes. We use those internally as well, and also helps you to see how this all fits together, right? So for SEO, the very simple sort of definition of SEO and search engine optimization is really sort of the combination of science, tech, and it's kind of an art and a science bit, right? That goes into manipulating or changing your website, your pages in such a way within sort of the compliancy that I talked about that Google will love you so that you will rank high. And if you rank high for the keywords that you want, you'll get more traffic, more sales, brand elevation, and such things. So let's start out with number 1. So 1 through 12. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to list them out really quick first, especially for those who are listening, so that you can understand what these 12 are. And we start with the foundational stuff. And so I'm going to break these down and get into more detail on it. But let's start with number 1, foundations. Number 2, a scorecard. Number 3, keywords. Number 4, markets. Number 5, architecture. Number 6, detox. Number 7, design. Number 8, content. Number 9, on page. Number 10, off page. Number 11, local. And number 12, analytics. Now, for some of you all, and especially the SEO experts on this call, they may look at this and say, well, this doesn't seem like it's in the proper order. Well, this is a general outline for how we like to look at things, especially from sort of a brand new perspective. But as I said before, you may be further along in an area where simply you are diving right into analytics, and that's where you should be starting. Right now, we like data, and we like to actually use all that data to allow us to optimize and to tune and tweak and make it better. In fact, data is the key to all of this. Without that, it's sort of like, running on empty with no water, right? So But let's just go through this. So I mentioned number one is foundations, right? Well, the foundations clearly true for any business. You got to have established business goals. What are you trying to reach there? And that, of course, often ties into revenue, right? And the company goals overall. We have marketing goals. So what are you trying to do for marketing in general? Those things need to be established. And of course, tying right into that, since we're talking about SEO today, search engine optimization, it's the SEO goals. What are you trying to rank? What are some of those pages that you're trying to get lifted? What is the reason for lifting those? I had asked somebody, why do you want more rank or higher rankings? Well, I want more traffic. Okay, why do you want more traffic? Well, I want more sales. Well, that entire strategy has to be built out, right? So definitely some good time spent on the foundational stuff to be really clear. This is all about clarity, and clarity in anything you're doing is going to have a positive effect for you. So that's number one. Number two, scorecard. Well, if we then have established overall goals from a marketing and business perspective, what does it look like for SEO in our world right now? Well, if you have an established site, this is going to be anything from a 5-page, corporate brochureware type of deal to, hundreds of thousands or maybe millions of pages for really big sites, where you really need to get clarity here on where you stand. So a forensic SEO audit, which we have done extensively over the many years, needs to be put into play. And here's where you're actually going to be pulling out all the things that are working, not working, the gaps, the gap analysis, and recommendations for changes that really can have a quick turnaround for some of those immediate things. Others will be more longer term. There might be some massive changes needed here that is more than just tweaking a few title tags, etc. And this is where you also will start to connect. I mentioned in number 12, the analytics. You'll start to look at the back end, all the data that you can collect in the back end. And of course, Google Analytics being central to this for so many. But we're going to get back to more analytics here as we come down these building blocks. Number three, keywords. Keyword research, clearly central to anything we're doing organic, ties into paid search as well. Very often we'll do, as we do this keyword research, we will recommend, depending on, again, tying it back to foundation goals, we might tie it right back to simply establishing some paid strategies to get data points in quickly to learn and understand what keywords are working best for us. But that's sort of a side note here. The keyword research and analysis is a big proponent of this. That's where we'll extract ranking opportunities, competitive data, which we'll get more to in a second, conversion opportunities, so a keyword is great to be ranked for, but if it's a okay trafficked word or phrase, and it doesn't really have a strong conversion opportunity, is that something you want to pursue? Well, the balance of branding and conversion is going to come into that discussion. But having a segmented keyword list based on topical elements is going to be essential to pull out of that keyword research. Number four, markets, right? So here we're going to really dive in, understanding the marketplace. What does that matrix look like? What is strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, right? SWOT analysis in terms of what does your situation and your business look like in the broader perspective of the market. This is where you also get into researching sales funnels. If you have some working, we'll be diving more into that in terms of the analytics, but also as you do your research, you'll see what's working in other with your competitors. Essentially, you'll see what type of keywords they're ranking for. You'll see what links they are pulling in and what they're focused on. So you can really study and spy here. Many tools that allows you to do this market analysis very, very well. Number four. So number five, architecture, right? So assuming that you have all your goals and the keywords and the market analysis, all this in place, well, you need to make sure, again, we're talking about either an established site or a new site. Either one is going to be applicable. But the topical structure, the nature of that layout, the navigation, the in-body links, the internal link structures from page to page. What does that look like? We like to map this out in a graphical form as well, so we can really understand how this is working and also where the gaps are again. Are there, based on the keyword research and the goals, elements of this that are completely missing? Are there things that you have established that were done, 4 or 5 years ago that now needs to be, updated, and we have to put in a redirection mechanism in place, et cetera, et cetera. Again, this can get quite extensive here, but clearly from the keywords to the markets to the architecture, you're going to have a big win tying this all together. However, we get clients in that have done a pretty good job on all these 5 that I just mentioned. But number 6, detox, this is where you're really digging into your history of backlinks, right? The bad links review, as I call them here. You want to basically find out what they are. Perhaps you'll also get a chance to take a look at some backlink opportunities here. We're going to talk more about that in a second in number 10. But, here you can actually find out the reason why you're not ranking or you dropped rankings over a period of time. Well, you get clients that come in and say, listen, it was ranking 90 days ago, but it's slowly going down. Okay, why is that? Well, we talk about links a lot. In fact, links is a big proponent of the algo, right? But so is duplicate content still. So it's not just backlinks. It's obviously on page as well. But number 6 is all about, finding those bad links and detoxing and disavowing those links that simply don't apply anymore. I get a lot of clients have had, backlinking done from, companies abroad. I won't mention any country names, but you know what I mean. And they have essentially done not a good job. That's been a black gray hat type of job, right? But then Google is catching up on this, and you're starting to get penalized and filtered. Really is the true word for that. And you're just not ranking anymore. That's number 6, big deal. Number 7, design. Very, very important, right? We talk about bounce rates and dwell times, and these things are going to be important for users alike, and search engines alike, in terms of tracking that behavior, usability, the platform, WordPress. There's many CMSs out there, content management systems, that you can deploy this on. This gets into user experience, user design, right? The experience, the entire platform needs to load fast. It needs to be device compatible. Mobile, right? Obviously, desktop more than ever. And so making sure that this is in check is going to be super important as well, right? I mean, there's not a single thing here that is not important. They all stack up. These building blocks are super central to your success here. Number 8, clearly content. Somebody asked me, Jan, what is really SEO these days? I mean, isn't it just keywords or whatever? Well, it's keywords, but it's content and links, and it always has been. Folks talk about SEO is dead. No, it ain't dead. Not going away anytime soon. Especially not for these sort of fundamentals, right? Having your content, your keywords, your links in place. That's a big piece of the puzzle here. So this is where we talk about, strategies for content deployment and development, evergreen content pieces. Are there landers that we should implement that we haven't seen yet for organic and possibly PPC, right? Pay-per-click. We may actually combine those to rank organically as well as driving it with pay-per-click. And of course, here we get into more of a content marketing, a conversation, developing calendars and scheduling, and making sure that we're essentially deploying content that matches our keyword strategy, that matches our market analysis, that the deployments for these matches the architecture, et cetera. So all of it is now starting to tie together, right? Very, very cool. Now, number 9, on page. So this is your title tags, meta tags, alt attributes, H1, H2, et cetera. Everything that goes onto the page that essentially Google is going to spider and pull in to their databases to, organize all the factors that you can control very easily by manipulating the source code to be not only effective for search engines, but also useful for for users and search engines, right? I'm trying to say both here. And that also includes URL structures, right? So, short, succinct, definable URL structures, nothing long, strange, weird, oddly looking URLs, web addresses, that is, with session IDs or custom IDs that make no sense, that are hard to email to somebody or to print out. You want this to be friendly. I mean, we talk about search friendliness, right? Search engine friendly websites and pages all ties into the on-page factors, and you can do a lot with this. In fact, starting with this just out the gate, if you see some gaping holes and you have a strategy on this, you can move the needle quite quickly, with hours and days, depending on where your site is at. Number 10, off page. So here we're really digging in now to, it goes beyond just the detox here. Now we're actually thinking about, okay, how do we actually develop our primary backlink sites that we want from authority sites, not just any site, right? All that old forum spam from the back in the days, blog spam, guest posting, it still actually works. So that's cool. But, here we also are going to talk about how do we reach out and, find those partners and develop content and also think about reclamation opportunities, 404s to do that outreach, to replace essentially broken links on sites that they can point back to you. And that's where all that competitive research will also come into play from the detox, et cetera. So these two are kind of 6 and 10 are tied together, but very, very important to have the off-page strategies. And by the way, building links here is what we're doing in this area, number 10, and that really never stops. Now, some of this is going to be attracted naturally, but if you're going to push the needle on this and move it forward, you need to actually do it manually, or manual with automation, right? And automation sounds bad in SEO, I realize, but if you do it right, it's not a black hat strategy. Number 11 here, local, big deal for local businesses. Local is, of course, central to Google My Business's objective is to make sure that all of those are set up so that you show up in the local map pack there. And working with links here, but really citations is what we call those here, to work to get those, again, from the competitive research. You'll be able to find many that you also can go after using directories and the local news channels, etc. This is also going to be about outreach and looking at vendors, partners, and folks you work with to get essentially links back to your site. And really, the best way to do this is to get links back to your site that are not just, people, when they talk about backlinking, this, send me a link, right? Well, if you do this right, and with that architecture I mentioned in 5, you'll basically have the opportunity to send those links into segmented pages into the site. So it's not just everything goes into the homepage, right? You'll have something where, like a blog is a perfect example for this. We recommend this, where then you can build out that architecture so that anytime you're doing sort of a backlink strategy for this and building this out, you're sending it to the appropriate page, right? Finally, number 12, analytics, Google Analytics. Definitely want to have that installed, any and all scripts, Facebook Pixel, of course, here, Google Analytics, and using Google Tag Manager to handle all these scripts and deployments, very key. Heat maps, Hotjar is great. I mean, in fact, Google Analytics has a lot of this internally, but we like some of these power tools. Orange Lucky is another one, or is it Lucky Orange? We haven't used that in a while, but Hotjar is great. And here's where we're actually getting into real data. And there's many, this is a weekend class by itself, but essentially what you want to get to is tying it back to number 1 and your business goals. And your marketing goals here is, are you reaching those objectives based on user behavior, your content, your keywords, your links, all of it? And so that you have established goals, and you can set up goals inside analytics and then have those mapped all the way to this first click. Really, you see the user paths, the user navigations, and you can track it to goals. Because a lot of folks talk about rankings, and we do too, but really it's the quality of the traffic and the consistent sort of rise and flow of that traffic that turns into goals and objectives that you have established that ultimately tie into, dollars and cents. If you're a business, that's really ultimately the end score for you. So analytics critical here. So I hope these 12 building blocks for SEO success in organic has been helpful for you. I wanted to get this out to you, and I will make sure that you can get this download in the show notes. And once again, if you need any help with this or any questions, go to chaosmap.com. That's www.chaosmap.com. And there's a big old green button at the top there, and you can click in and just set up a time there, and we'll help you out. So that's that's it for now, man. It's 9 a.m. Los Angeles. It's time to get back into the saddle here. Appreciate you all. And hey, have a great day, evening, or night, wherever you are. Later. Take it easy.